I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First on the item is Laura Wheeler dealing with the Board of Finance and conflict of interest. First, we must elect officers.
You need to recess your meeting. First meeting.
Thank you, Laura.
Sorry.
So we'll make a motion to recess. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Now we'll start the Board of Finance.
Yes.
So we'll need to elect officers. So I'll nominate Jenny Kniebel as president, Laura Wheeler as the secretary.
I'll second it.
Those in favor say aye.
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 Very good. Okay, so the first thing on the agenda for the Board of Finance would be the policy, the investment policy, which you all received a copy of. And so if there's any changes to that, please let me know. Otherwise, you would need to vote this policy in. So the first thing on the agenda is to approve the investment policy. And you all received a copy of that, so you know what it says. If there are any changes to that, please let me know.
I've reviewed the investment policy and I'll make a recommendation to approve the investment policy for Pulaski County.
I'll second it.
You're president. Yep.
Yeah.
Great one.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It passes.
Thank you. The second thing on the agenda is the investment report, the status report. So you received a 2023-2024 comparison of the investment interest received. In 2023, we received $1,133,563.26 in interest. In 2024, we received $1,724,196.85. Are there any questions on the investment interest? Yes.
I'll make a motion to approve the report.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It passes.
Thank you. No. The warrants? Investment? Okay, the next thing on the agenda are the warrants. This is a list, $425.31 of checks written in 2022 that we no longer will hold. And if you approve these, we will put them back into county general because that's where they were written from.
I so approve putting it back in county.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. With that being done, the Board of Finance is complete. You may adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn the Board of Finance meeting. All those in favor?
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 And then the regular commissioners meeting is back in session. And while I'm here, I would like for you to accept my conflict of interest statement that I have presented to you. This is because I do the books for the Star City Sewer. And although it's questionable whether it's a conflict or not, I have chosen to file this form just in case there's anything that seems to be a conflict at any given time throughout the year.
Have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve your conflict of interest form, Laura.
I'll second.
Good. All those in favor, say aye.
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 And Laura, I do want to say thank you. I know it's been some time since conflict of interest forms have been signed. And in attending commissioners training, we've all learned that those forms are extremely important. If you do have any kind of perceived conflict as an elected board official, those are to be filed with the county, and that also gets filed with the state. So we appreciate you taking the time to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
We'll move on to Natasha from the E.M.S.
Good morning, all. Have some pictures for you.
Thank you.
The first thing that I'm asking for is permission to start ambulance bids. What you see there in the two pictures are my current DEF tanks, and that is on 3594. As you can see, it's corroded and leaking. I am having trouble with my exhaust systems on both my 3594 unit and my 0327 unit. The 0327 unit does need to go to the shop to be diagnosed. However, due to 3594 already being in the shop, I'm keeping it as a backup as it is currently running, not making the greatest noises, however, is still running. When I look at my 776 unit, that is the unit that was purchased in 2019. It has 169,974 miles with engine hours of 3,897 on it. So it's aging pretty quickly as it's been utilized as one of our main units. Then we go down to 3594. It has 289,162 miles on it with 13,300 engine hours. 0327, currently it is at 275,554 miles, and that is engine hours of 12,175. So they are aging rapidly. Those are my oldest trucks in the fleet, and I'm conflicted on which one that I'm going to phase out when we do get our 2026 unit. I'd like to propose that we actually do a bid for two different ambulances, as these current fleet will have to serve as a backup unit. And if we equate engine hours, it's roughly 60 miles to every engine hour, so they're pretty substantially over their miles at this point.
So you're wanting to purchase two new ambulances? At
Yes,
this time?
these are 3 years out, so just to start the process. So by the time that we get these new units, these will be very over their miles, if not already phased out due to no longer functioning.
Say 3 years out.
Yes,
Was there a ambulance replacement established?
that has not been in effect for quite some time. It's something that the former commissioners and I discussed. We did not put a plan in place at that time, so that's something we can discuss now.
Or 3 years out?
3 years out unless we do a remount. So a remount would be essentially an old box that's placed on a new chassis. It is a cheaper option. However, remounts are also in demand as well.
Possible to give us a typed written report?
Absolutely.
We can periodically have that where we stand.
We actually go ahead and do these reports every single day. So anytime that you want to know our mileage or our hours, I can pull the report.
Why don't you just plan on giving us a hand copy once a month? I think that would be very helpful to us.
Absolutely, I can do that.
So if they're 3 years out, do they lock the price in?
At this time, they have been. The only time that things upgrade to pricing is if we add additionals to the already agreed upon price. So things like power loads, if we didn't have that in there before and we added it, that would be an additional charge, different types of cabinets, different features.
Is there a budget line item?
It just comes from the general fund. There's not anything specifically within our budget.
Would you also be able to provide the difference, or like you said, the ambulance replacement or the remount? Can you provide numbers on what that would be as opposed to purchasing new?
Yeah, if you're okay with it, I can do a bid for a brand new truck as well as a remount and see where we're
Just for
at.
comparison.
Sure.
Thank you.
All right. In addition to ambulance bids, I wanted to discuss maintenance in my building. This one specifically is my Winnemac building. I believe it is county owned. I wanted to know what my policy, who is responsible for my maintenance and what duties. You are looking at a picture of our current shower. As you know, most of our crews are on 24 or longer shifts. So typically, if we do get contaminated on the job, we are required to go ahead and take a shower to wash those pathogens off of ourselves. A lot of the staff are uncomfortable with our current shower, as when you stand in it, it does feel like you're going to go through the floor. It looks like it's just two boards with the drain between.
Shower?
That is my shower.
We're holding it the wrong way. You're sideways. You're in a bathtub.
Here you go. As you can see, there's the two boards and the drain. So you literally have to stand your legs apart.
So if you talk to Larry, I spoke with him, he takes care of maintenance in those areas if you communicate with him. And then if he needs to call someone, he would go and he would help you with that. It comes out of the E.M.S. budget, but he would help you with that if you communicate.
Now, would this be something I have to contract out since it is a pretty extensive repair?
Well, possibly, but talk with Larry first and he'll get you contact with
Perfect.
you, okay? We would like for that to look nice. Maybe the next time the picture, I'll see it better. It looks better on the map.
I wouldn't want to be in it.
So is
Tell you that.
anything else with maintenance?
No, I think that's all I had for today.
Then your request for an ambulance bid, looking at those, I think if, as Jenny said, if you just bring us back some quotes, having an idea of what the prices are, then we'll consider it for approval to bid in the future.
Perfect.
Okay,
All right. Thank you very much.
thank you. Nathan? You're up.
Good morning, everybody. First, some updates on the courthouse project, starting with change orders. I do not have any this morning for your consideration, but have approved 2 under my threshold over the last week, totaling $5,767.18, including architect's fees. Change orders 50 and 52 cover the costs of some trim work for the historic etched glass window built into a wall in the surveyor's office's future space, and to trim out the doorway between the courtroom and the new hallway for the upper floor restrooms. The issue I previously mentioned where we discovered an I-beam hidden in the wall. Don, you saw that yesterday. Jenny, I'll make sure you see that this afternoon. Additionally, as I reported via email, I approved a time and materials change order to address a problem with the HVAC system. We're not sure what the total cost will be, but it needed to be authorized immediately to avoid delays that could add general conditions costs to the project. And ultimately, we should see reimbursement for this from either the architects, their engineers, or the manufacturer, and I'll keep you all apprised as that situation develops. Finally, the request regarding sidewalk construction is still outstanding, and there is one change order, number 53, under development, as a handful of them have recently. This one also pertains to something millwork related. Any questions on change orders?
No.
No, but can you give an update just on the whole sidewalk situation? Where are we on that?
project manager and I have spoken in the last week or so about a new approach that we will be discussing with Winnemac Town Hall before we commit to anything. We're still a couple of months out before that's going to be an urgent issue. It's just one that we would like to have situated both so we have a sense of the impact on the change order or on the contingency, and just so that it's not hanging over our heads.
Okay, thank you.
Speaking of contingency, current balance is just a hair above $200,000 minus the eventual costs for the sidewalk and pre-reimbursement HVAC issue costs. We can still add a little more than $72,000 in interest to the contingency as it is receipted in, presumably when it was generated from the CD, into which I think Tracy would remember this, $5 million we put into a CD when we received the proceeds from the bond sale.
That is correct.
I haven't received an update recently, but last to my knowledge, Ton and Blank's contingency remains quite healthy. So on top of our 200, I would guess they probably have 300,000 still in theirs. They have not had to touch it very much. And then project progress, a lot of MEP and paint work has continued, and we're seeing more mill work, both original and new, being installed, including most of the fireplace hearths that had been removed. The basement in particular is starting to feel like a new space with all of the paint on the walls, as well as all the new slab, moisture barrier, all the things that have been done to eliminate the environmental issues that we had in the past down there. Several sections of the old retaining wall are now in place and being mortared together to frame the mini plaza at the front entrance. Ton and Blank had poured a very simple actual retaining wall with frost line level deep footers, and that will be completely buried. And then what we'll see is the old wall sections visible as we look at the building and walk into it. Finishing ceiling installation is on hold until the aforementioned HVAC problem has been corrected, but that will resume as soon as Arctic has implemented the solution, which the manufacturer and engineers have approved. Any questions on progress?
No.
All right, then moving along to the Revolving Loan Fund. Late last year, the commissioners authorized me to ask Mr. Tankersley to review the final proposed revisions to the program's guidelines. He did not have time to finish this project before his tenure with the county ended, and I wanted to confirm with the board before asking Mr. Ayler to devote any time to this. We have about $290,000 in the fund right now, and as long as one borrower makes her January payment before month's end, all 4 loans will be in good standing or ahead of schedule. None of them have at this point reached the level of readiness where it's urgent, but I've had several inquiries into the program until the last 6 months or so, and would like to make it available to local entrepreneurs again as soon as possible.
I think it's very beneficial for our county. Helped quite a few businesses, so thank you. I'm in favor of that, Nathan. I hear no opposition.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nathan.
Do you have any questions about anything?
Thank you for the tour yesterday, the facility. The basement doesn't really look like a basement anymore, so that's great.
Actually a very good way of putting it.
Yes. Thank you. Nikki, soil and water?
Name.
Yes,
For
please.
the sake of the
Okay.
recording, probably.
So I'm Nikki Clemens, the chairperson for the Soil and Water Conservation District. And I'm coming to you guys because our office is in the USDA building, but the 2 ladies who work in there are county employees. So in case of a government shutdown, they don't have a place to go to work. And we were requesting to have a policy put in place that they could either work from home or whatever you guys decide.
I did some investigating after you and I talked yesterday, and we do have some space available within the county, some conference rooms.
Okay.
So in the event that the federal government ever shuts down, other than just a threat of it, but then we would have other space, conference rooms. There's a couple in the annex that is currently available. We just have to communicate with the different departments for that. And then, of course, out here would be available as well if there's not a meeting in place. I think a conference room would be more appealing because of smaller space and downtown, if you will. So I would prefer that they work, but move to a different space.
Okay, so will we have a space like, so it was a lot of question last time on figuring out where to go and everything. Can we have a designated, like, not here or there or whatever, but just something designated, like if the government shuts down, you go to the annex building?
Yes, and you told me yesterday that you have they let you know at least a half day ahead of time. Is that correct?
I mean, it's the federal government.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't know last time, like.
Yeah. Well, we'll designate a few spots. I'll confirm with some individuals, but I know the health department has a conference room available.
Okay.
And then I'll need to communicate with the Purdue Extension, but they have a conference room as well.
Okay.
So I'll communicate with those people.
And
So-
who would write that up then, Don? I mean, would the attorney write that up, just a statement exactly where they're going to be
I
on
think
a particular
our
day?
attorney could help us with that, or we
Right.
can. I think
Okay.
it's just it's the only government county employees is working in a federal building. So I think it's just a matter of putting it in their handbook and making them aware of that.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
And of course, Jenny, you brought up our county attorney. He's at a conference today. Thank you, Nikki. Carla, for the building.
So in the past, the building department used to come and give monthly updates, and in February of '23, I was told that it wasn't necessary, so I was requested to continue those now, so I will do so. So the form that I gave you is just kind of a statistics in regards to 2024 and permits, the type that were issued, the construction costs, and permit fee. And then you can see some of the major permit projects, which obviously you're aware of, the courthouse. We have 3 commercial solar permitted projects. We have one that is still in the review process of the application. And we did receive an extension of some acreage to another developer, which you'll see on their 400 acres for Mammoth Solar last week. So that permit is also in review now. So, and then on the right side, you'll see the type of permits that we issued. And of those 13 for demo, 4 of them are part of our violation process, which brings me to Kevin and I had started to work on, Mr. Tankersley and I had started to work on for demolitions and going through the process of condemning properties prior to him resigning. So I didn't feel that with him resigning and then us getting to new commissioners that it would really be beneficial to start the process a month before you came into office. So I just wanted to let you know that I will be reaching out to the county attorney to see what he would like to see in regards to demolition process. And I can submit my notices to you in the Indiana code because that obviously will entail the 3 of you to make that process happen.
How many properties roughly would you be looking
at? Right now I have 22. And I've generally followed, or not generally, I'm sorry, I have followed Indiana code as well as Pulaski County, our ordinance in regards to classification for those properties and what we can do. I started to talk to a couple towns in regards to if we have any type of grants, any funding for persons that have structures that need demolished, but it's financially out of their hands. And if it's a place that they live in and it's something that they can't control, they're trying, but they just can't keep it up. We're looking into trying to get some program involved for those residents also. But of those 22 potential demolitions, those are all abandoned.
Are you able to, help towns that need help with their own ordinances and condemning properties?
We do work together. I was approved a little bit more money in the demolition budget, so I have talked to Maderiaville and Monterey presently about potentially combining funds for a demolition. But of course, I want to start the process with your board and obviously the county attorney to make sure that everything's by standard.
Good. Thank you for this. Very beneficial.
I also noticed before you go, you raised some of the permit fees, which looks very good on that. I mean,
Oh, for the violation fees?
yes.
Yes, that
yes.
will be presented to the plan. It's something that the plan commissions discussed, but due to illness and work schedules, our last two sessions, the plan commission wasn't able to hold a quorum in 24. So we will be holding one in February, of which if you are aware as a board, you are entitled to offer recommendations for 2 alternates for plan commission. And also one of the topics discussed at our next plan commission is looking for an attorney for the board, which has been an ongoing process.
Right. And can you tell me, Carla, you had the one submitted, we have 3 permitted commercial solar projects and 1 submitted application. What company is that?
That's Invenergy. I'm close to the final review on that.
Anything else with us?
That's it.
Will you give us a report next month? It could be just a written report to let us know where you are with your commission.
Sure.
Good.
Okay, thank
Any
you.
other business? Thank you. Mr. Kruger, Highway Department. Thank
Morning.
you. Kelly, did a great job with the roads this morning.
Yeah, the trucks are all plugged in. I just brought before you, we had the availability of a Western Star Tandem available to us. Stoops, Freightliner out of Haven. We've heard that the Alice 500 transmissions possibly going to be reserved for a lot of the government. So the locals could have a hard time getting automatic transmissions that we have in our trucks. This did come available to us until later this year. Perry's possibly put the upfit on. So it is through the Sourcewell. The second page is the quote given me. And they also possibly in 2026 they're talking more missions. So more missions available. We wanted to see it forth and possibly.
You have the money available, Gary?
I'll make a motion to let Gary forward on Western Star.
I'll second the motion.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Very good.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. We know we're going to get some snow sometime. Yes, it has been. Teresa.
The reason I come before you is the coroner could not be here today. So last year they had, the commissioners, council had voted to get her a new vehicle for a coroner. And so she has just submitted a letter regarding selling the old van that they had in the coroner's office. That's the only reason I'm here today, is to get to let you know that she's turned it over to the commissioners. Paperwork regarding that. She couldn't.
Gary, we, if this is approved, will you help us list this on the website and mark it out front? Very good. Yep, it does.
Mhm.
Good. Motion?
I'll make a motion to let that old van be turned back in and get it listed.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Moving on to other business items. We have claims. We have a motion to accept the claims.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Regular session minutes from January 6, 2025 are presented.
I read them. I make a motion to,
I had one little change. If we can make the one small change, then I'm okay with accepting them. Do I give that to you now, Teresa?
Yes, please.
Say it out loud? Is that what I do? Okay. Just on the back, where it had John Kramer was speaking, and then Jennifer said that Governor Holcomb had designated the Northwest Indiana. It has to supply the amount of water needed, but he designated that as the energy section. Is what I thought.
Mike, will you amend your motion to that, reflect
yeah,
that?
I'll, in my motion. Yes. Jennifer.
Very good, thank you.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion, a second. Any further items with this? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, same sign. 2025 empty voting system annual maintenance agreement for election board. We have a motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the annual maintenance agreement for Infinity Voting System.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, a second. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Bonds, we have the following bonds for recycling, Aviation, Surveyor, the Sheriff, the Clerk, and the Recorder. I'll make a motion to approve the bonds for those individuals.
I'll second. We had a tie.
We'll have Jenny as the second. Any discussion for the bonds? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. We have 3 conference requests from the Health Department for Stephen, Marie Roth. I think those are the individuals there going to those individual conferences, all on pretty much the same dates. We have a motion to accept the conference request.
I'll make a motion to accept it.
You mind? I'll second it. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. All right, discussion items. PTABOA. We have recommendation for appointments for David and Deb. They're current. I'm assuming that they are willing to continue that. We have a-
Now, and I'm gonna play ignorant here because I don't know what is that?
Okay, so what that is the board for the assessor. It's called PTABOA, and that is her board. So yeah, David Chambers.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion to accept the appointments of David Chambers and Deb DeShepper for the PTABOA board.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Next on the agenda is Jennifer Nebel.
Yeah, and we had discussed last week, possible moratoriums for renewable energies. And I just have a small update. I was able to go last night to Huntington County. They had a 3.5-hour seminar on, this one was on industrial solar. Very good. I hadn't been to one in about 2 years, and I figured there'd probably be some new information that would be shared that might be interesting to the public. So I was impressed with what Huntington County was doing. They were just approached with their first industrial solar project in September, and they made the decision for their county to set up a committee. So they called it the 2-on-2 or 2 versus 2, but they had 2 that were for industrial solar in Huntington, and they had 2 that were against industrial solar in the county. And then they had a mediator, which I thought was pretty interesting. So it didn't involve, economic development. It didn't involve elected officials. This is community members that are making these decisions. And they said, it's going very well because there's give and take. But the other thing I found interesting was that while they put a moratorium on right off of the bat to be able to get this done, there's no end date. There's no end time to the moratorium. And of the 100 people that were in there, somebody said, we've never heard that you could do that. And they said, well, you can. And we made the decision that if we're going to do something to protect every resident in our county, you can't put a time limit on that. And they said, if we did put a time limit on it, as soon as that moratorium time, because it had been so contentious and caustic going through all this, they said if the moratorium expired and we weren't ready, it would just inflame all this again, and we'd have division in the community again. So just a thought moving forward when we look at possible moratoriums for different renewable energies, that we may want to rethink how we even approach entering into discussion within the community, so it's not quite so divisive. I thought that was interesting. They did say they're going to have with the projects that are currently slated or being looked at for Huntington County, they were concerned about the decommissioning. They said they will have 1.5 million solar panels in the county, and currently there is no way to recycle those or dispose of those. So, and somebody mentioned, they said, that's funny because 5 years ago when we were working in our county, the question about what do you do with all of these when it comes to an end? And they said, well, we'll let the private sector figure that out. Well, here we are almost 5 years later, and the private sector still hasn't figured out what they're going to do with that. So they only have a fraction of what we're looking at here. So I think that's something we need to consider is what are you going to do with millions of industrial solar panels in Pulaski County? Nobody else is going to want those. So those are going to remain probably here in Pulaski County. They're not recycling them. Quickly on property values, over the last 4.5 years, they said you will likely see a 30% decrease if you are an adjoining property owner. You don't have any industrial solar on your ground, but it's on one side, maybe two. You're looking at a 30% property value hit to your appraised value. So I thought it was interesting. They said some of the other counties that they've talked to avoid, because you know that the solar developers are not going to give you a property value guarantee. We went that direction and they threatened to sue us a few years ago when we asked for that. They said there are counties that are working, they're asking their landowners to work with adjoining property owners to work out the property value agreement between them. So that if you are surrounded or you have industrial solar next to your property and your property is not selling, you've gone 1 to 2 years and you can't get anyone to buy it, they're looking at the adjoining landowner saying, we've signed an agreement and now you're responsible to do this. So these are things that they're considering. And they said when every property owner that's around those has an agreement signed with a neighbor, legal agreement, then we will talk about allowing this solar project into the county. I thought that was intriguing, to say the least. The other one, they got into the discussion about what happens when these solar developers flip these projects from one solar developer to a different one, and they're circulated, 1 to 2 to 3 times. What happens when it lands in the lap of a utility company? And the lawyer there said, I can tell you that you will not collect property taxes on the personal property on those industrial solar fields if a utility has it. They're not required to pay personal property taxes to the county. So when these EDA agreements run out and our county is thinking, well, we're going to collect taxes on the personal property. If a utility company has it, no, we don't. No, we don't. So that's just something else that, when we move forward and we're talking about a moratorium and things that we maybe want to discuss if we're going to allow other applications to come in, over the last 5 years, there's been a lot of great information that's come out, and I think there's a lot of consideration that needs to be given. And I'm going to be honest, I think the community members should be the ones figuring this out, because the community members are going to be the ones who are going to be living here. I don't see something as massive as this being a decision that should be made by elected officials. I think the power needs to go to the people. So just interesting ways they're working it out. The only other thing I have, we talked a little bit about battery storage last week, and it was mentioned that, Mike, you mentioned it, that we have battery storage in Pulaski County. But I looked into that battery storage, and it's actually a AT&T communication, something built after World War I in case all communications went down. That AT&T building would be utilized to, in an emergency situation, be able to communicate. So I do want to pass around what that one looks like in Pulaski compared to the battery storage that we're talking about possibly for Pulaski County. They did just have a fire in Southern California. I'm sure several of you saw that. That fire burned for days. They had to evacuate. Now they're worried about not only the people, but they're worried about the wildlife. And this morning I woke up and looked back on, and now they're worried about the crops because of all the ash from these toxic batteries that were blown all over these land, or these ag lands. So just something to consider. But as I get more information, I want to share it. And I know, some of you may have questions. I just think, it's been 5 years. So I think we need to revisit all this and reconsider the protections that we're going to put in here for the county, because we didn't know this 4.5 years ago. And the amount of information that's out there now and the experiences people are having. One last one, there's a lady up in Michigan who had wind put all over her land. And the wind, they tore all the wind towers down, and the developer said in their initial contract they would decommission it and remove it all. It got switched to another company, and here she's sitting years later. I don't know how many wind turbines are on the property, but you can look it up and read it, and no one will take responsibility for moving these. So this poor lady, her husband's died, and she's sitting here with massive amounts of wind turbines and blades on her ag land, and no one will take responsibility for it. So I think we need to be careful in these plans, and when we see these, just a lot to consider moving forward. So I am going to just pass around these battery storage so that you can see what these actually look like. Okay, so that's all I have, just more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Jenny. A few things that you had said, and this is not a debate by any means, but Senate Bill 1 came out late last week dealing with property tax relief. We all understand none of us want to pay taxes, but there's only two ways of revenue, basically two ways of revenue for county government, and that's through property tax and income tax. And we all know that we're in the upper level for personal or for our income tax, and the next is property tax. Some of the property tax that is being proposed hits us, we're going to be in a real financial bind. We're currently in a financial bind to an extent. So those are some items dealing with that. And what we heard yesterday, great speeches. The golden age is coming. We know that the Trump administration is against wind turbines. Solar still in debate where he is. Actually, there has not been a comment made about solar. Dealing with that. And in our state, the Brown administration seems to be encouraging solar, and and as well as Senate President Pro Tem Bray and House Speaker Todd Houston is promoting solar as well. So I think those are all some items that we need to consider as well as we move forward, especially with our income, with income tax and looking at that, what we're going to do, as well as where property taxes going to be. I think we have to all keep an eye on some of the legislation that's going on and call your respective representatives and senators and see where that goes. So thank you. KIRPC Safe Streets for All local match.
What that is we had gotten a bill from KIRPC, and they had stated that we needed to pay them $9,125. What it is back in 23, the commissioners had, they had come before the commissioners that said that they were going to do this Safe Streets for All, and our part of it would be $9,125 each this year, and then also in 26. And you've got the paperwork there as far as it talks about they've had a lot of fatalities. They did anyway for a couple of years, 21 and 22, where there was a lot of fatalities, and they were trying to. They had gotten a grant that would help make our roads a little safer, so cut down on those quite a bit. So that's what this is. I unfortunately not know about it because of course it's done in 23. Yeah. But so that's what this is about. They're asking if had approved it back in 2023 for this match.
Okay. Have a motion to pay?
Yes, that is correct.
Pay the amount?
I'll make a motion to pay the amount to KIRPC.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Do you know out of which fund Teresa should be paying that bill?
That's a very good question.
Thank you, Nathan.
Thank you.
We approved it, so we'll allow her to figure that out. Thank you, Nathan. You're about 2 seconds shy of helping us.
You're fine.
There you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We have a little bit of time. If you would like, if there's anybody for public comment, you may come up to the podium. Please state your name, your address, where you live, and we ask that you limit your comments to 2 minutes, and we ask that you only speak once. Any public comments? Thank you. We'll have a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mike.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye.